Well, America's top military advisors are back on the hot seat today, this time to testify before the House Armed Services Committee on the United States' chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan last month. Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman General Mark Milley will be back to answer follow-up questions after spending yesterday being grilled in front of a Senate panel, making the case that, contrary to the administration's previous reports, he actually advised President Biden to leave at least 2,500 troops in Afghanistan. Congressman Don Bacon from Nebraska is a Republican on the House Committee of Armed Services. Thank you so much. I know that you're going to be hearing Milley's testimony today. And here's the thing. President Biden says he does not recall Milley giving him that directive or that advice. What do you think about all of this?
I think that's total baloney. The president was advised by the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, the commander of CENTCOM, to leave 2,500 to 3,500 troops there. I am sure he did not forget that. He told the American people that everybody was on board, all his military advisors are on board, and it was not true. The president was being dishonest with the American people. And frankly, through this entire Afghanistan debacle, he's been spinning, I think he's been prevaricating, and this is just one example. I think that was the biggest bombshell in the testimony yesterday.
Well, how about this? I mean, because the White House actually said in response to this testimony that the president was advised from multiple perspectives, that General Milley's advice was just one of a number of voices giving him advice about what to do on this pullout, and that some was listened to and other advice was not listened to. What do you make of that statement?
I think it is spin. General Milley is the most senior military person in the United States. He is the senior person. And then the four-star at Central Command was the commander of the operations in the Middle East. And for both of them to say they do not recommend withdrawing all of our troops, that is significant. And for the president to later in late August say that the military was all on board with this massive withdrawal, it was not honest. And the fact is, when you tell a lie, it always comes back to bite you. And I think in this case, the president and his team, to include the White House communications, as well as the National Security Council and the National Security Advisor, they've been dishonest. They've been spinning the whole way through. Here's another one. We will not leave until every American is out. They did not do that. And this is one of many prevarications and spins that we have had over the last 3 months when it comes to Afghanistan.
Well, Americans being left there, those who have helped Americans, allies being left there, was a huge controversy, in addition to the murder of soldiers there at the airport in Kabul. But besides that, what is your biggest concern? Because we can't go back and fix it. We can't reverse time. What do we do to move forward after this chaotic pullout?
Well, one thing we could do is acknowledge this was a disaster for America. The president says it was a success, that he has no regrets. Well, that's not what the American people are seeing. That's why his poll numbers has tanked. But the number one, we have two top issues right now. One, we still have hundreds of Americans and green card holders and their families still stuck in Afghanistan. So that's problem number one. Problem number two is the Taliban are allied with Al-Qaeda, and we don't have any reasonable counter-terror capability anymore over Afghanistan. So we're left basically not armed to deal with the Al-Qaeda Taliban threat in Afghanistan. So those are the two core issues that we're going to have to figure out how to deal with. And there's no easy answers because of the way the president pulled us out. We have lack of resources in country.
Well, I think a lot of people in Washington and throughout the country are considering what this could mean next for terrorism threats domestically from Al-Qaeda or ISIS-K. Thank you so much, Congressman Bacon, for joining us this morning.
Thank you.